Hi, we're here with another edition of Above the Bar with one of our staff members, Mr. Joseph Ellison, who is our drama theater teacher. And he was recommended as a above the bar person for all of the things that he does for our district and our students. So with that, Mr. Ellison, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, I am Joseph Ellison. I originally came from Tennessee. I grew up in Harrogate, and I went to school at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where I studied theater with a Bachelor of Arts. And then I also did a minor in education with pedagogy training. And I've been here, this is going on my fourth year at Rio Rico High School, my first full-time teaching job, and still loving it. Well,
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you love it. So, when you made the decision to move from Tennessee all the way out here, what was the driving force of this? Were you just looking for a different situation or a new place that you could kind of build your own program?
it's kind of both. When I first got the phone call from Miss Patterson, who was the vice principal at the time, it was the first job interview I actually had. I applied to everywhere in Tennessee, and then I sat there. I was like, you know what? Let's throw my application everywhere. And Miss Patterson gave me a call from Rio Rico, Arizona. So she told me a lot about the school and about the program's history, and something inside of me was just like, you know what? This feels like the right spot to look into. So I started looking at the program. I saw what the kids were used to doing. I saw what the area looked like, and it looked so much like my hometown. Where I grew up, it was a little bit smaller than Rio Rico. We had a Family Dollar and we had an IGA, and that was all we had. So when I got here, I was happy about that. But the other thing was a lot of the kids, and hearing from the kids and hearing about what they do, it reminded me so much of my hometown where we didn't have a theater program. And I just remember I was thinking to myself, what would it have been like if we had had something where I grew up? So something inside of me, the hometown mentality, the students, the community, it all just felt right. So it didn't take me probably 5 hours after my first interview with Miss Patterson to go, okay, if they offer it me, that's where I'm going to end up going. And then I got here, and it feels a lot like the place I grew up, and the students are just incredible. They remind me of mini me's when I was in high school, and I love that.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, we're glad that you made that decision. So, but I know that since you've been here, you've done a lot of different things with the program and growing it. And so, before I talk about the future of it, kind of since you've been here, what are some of the challenges that you've had, and how have you been able to overcome those? Because I think that really is part of going above the bar, because we've had limited facilities, limited ability to do things, but you still have come up with these great performances, and also been able to do things like our first musical, things like that. So share with me how you've been able to do that.
That's been a fun one. So as I said, this program's had great history, and when I got here, it was definitely something to build on. The biggest fault that we kind of slipped into was we have been doing the same thing we've always done for 20 years, and our students have changed. Our community has changed. So we needed content, and we needed an environment of theater that matched what the modern age looked like. Because we had kids that were wanting to go to college for the arts, and it's like, okay, well, we need to get you prepared for that. So the biggest thing, I sat down my first year, I was like, okay, they've always done one acts. They've always done a comedy or a fairy tale. So what do we need to do? And that's where I sat down. I looked at what standards were for colleges, what standards were for industry. I looked and saw what kids we had, and I said, let's do it. So we implemented our first fall show, which was Hay Fever by Noel Coward. We did the first musical, which was Little Shop of Horrors. We kept the community involvement with the Boys and Girls Club going all my first year. And then, of course, we add the thespian competitions where we started competing not only in performance, but we've added the tech competitions as well. The biggest challenge of that, and then proceeding onward with our middle school program, growing the Honor Society, our stagecraft program, was again the facilities, the equipment. We're sitting here trying to do 2016 technology on equipment that ran out in 1994. Fun conversation if you ever want to know that one. So trying to get these kids to go, this is what we do in the modern world, but here's what we have right now, so let's try and make it work with what we got going for us. That's been a real fun thing. The kids have been super clever in figuring out how to adapt to that. So our technology, we've been getting better. When I first started here, we had 1 mic. We have 14 mics. So we're getting there. And then, of course, with the excellence coming from the bond and the hopefully override, we've had a huge success with pushing forward with moving towards a greater facility where I'd be honest, I don't even know what our kids are going to be able to do. It's probably going to be out of this world and crazy impressive. So they keep shocking me with the amount of value and work they put in, especially our first year. Hay Fever was, oh, we're talking, that's a college level production. And these kids had it down in like 4 weeks. I was like, okay, so these kids are good. First ever musical. Show went off without a hitch. I was like, okay, so we can do this stuff. We're capable. So that's been a fun push, an exciting push with these students in our district. And I have so much respect for them. I really do.
Yeah, well, I think those are all traits that they get from you as well as their leader of guiding them and taking those chances and doing things and thinking out of the box. And like I said, I know it's been very limited with because I think sometimes when people think of drama and theater, they think you're just on a stage talking or doing some type of monologue instead of that there was other aspects of it. So you mentioned the stagecraft. So what is stagecraft and how is that really brought in other students? Because I think that's the other part of the program now at Rio Rico High School with you is that it's not just that performance piece. There is the whole behind the scenes that really bring the production together. So what is stagecraft?
Oh, that's an excellent question. And still people are a little confused on that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, here at Rio Rico, we still have the traditional theater. So we do offer the acting course, intro to history, and the advanced directing. We're one of 3 schools in the state that have directing, just throwing that out there. But the stagecraft component's very exciting. This is one of the few states that actually have it. It's used to be, most people will call it technical theater or stagecraft. It's interchangeable. That's for all the work that's from costume making to audio engineering with our sound, working with our light, building with our lumber, the shop design, making the props, the scenic painting, the hair and makeup, the dramaturgy, publicity, communications, management, directing, dramaturgy. I can go on and on. But that stagecraft component that we have is so unique to our school because it allows those students who are like, I like acting, but I'm definitely not an actor and I don't think I should ever act on a stage. That's definitely the part that brings in our kids. I have so many kids that are like, I wish I could do cosmetology. You can do hair and makeup designing. We can. Is it like real stuff? Yeah, we use blush and foundation and latex and everything. We actually just bought a manicure set because I have one of my kids who's dying to do manicures. So we have all those components listed within that stagecraft. So no matter what you're looking for, I can pretty much find an area in the theater program that is going to have exactly what you're learning or exactly what you're wanting to learn from. Just recently with our new iMac that we have, our kids have been able to do audio technician. So they're in there. I have one kid who's remotely learning how to design sounds with our soundboard. so he can run it through the iMac and create a full band performance from one computer. So it's a huge push for those kids that are really wanting to get their hands on things and build and construct things.
And that's what I think for me as the superintendent, I'm excited about to see the whole different opportunity for each of our students to get involved with something instead of saying I wish. They're now able to say, you're saying, yeah, I wish. Here it is. Here we can do something. So with the new, so that's why I say kind of in the future, we have a new performing arts center that will be breaking ground in January, and a year from now, hopefully, we'll be getting ready for our first performance in there. So, what are some of the things that you're looking for, as well as the students, I think, are looking for as that gets moving forward?
That's a great question. We have already, my students, the first day I could tell them that we have a building coming, you won't believe, I felt like Santa Claus getting the wish list from all these kids of things. So we've already started with play committees and things of that nature, because we're going to be adding another performance. So we'll be having a winter performance. All the band concerts, especially middle school and elementary, will get to come here, along with a lobby that we'll have available for their art departments to come up with them, so they can have a middle school or elementary takeover of the building. For my kids, what that offers them is box office opportunities, the media opportunities. They get extra practice learning how to work the lights and sound. They get to work with live performances. So that, just those concerts that we're bringing is going to be an increase. Adding the winter show is going to be really helpful, getting ready for what I'm hoping to start as competitions. Right now, we only participate in half the competitions for tech and performance. But with this new area and our ability to now do more without having to be afraid of interrupting the cafeteria operations and the other banquets we have, like, that's going to open us up to where I'm going to say, okay, if we want to start doing spring competitions, we got time to do them. We also just so much more opportunity with the size of performances we can do, the level of mechanics that we can use to do bigger shows and newer shows. And then I'm really hoping eventually, once we get a middle school theater program going, that's going to be able to lead us into a whole new environment, especially for our summer program, and what we'll be able to grow our summer program with, expanding out to the other art forms. And then, of course, with dance, we'll have dance performances there. Just a whole menu of performing arts coming to this district. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. And that's, I think the really exciting, we're going from one stage that really is difficult to use to having multiple areas of performance, and including, as we renovate some of the area outdoor, we'll have that courtyard that will have a space heading into the Performing Arts Center. So there's just a lot of space that we'll actually be able to utilize for fine art. So it's exciting. But one of the things is the whole stagecraft area. So currently you have a little patio that you try to do all of those things, and then you're actually going to have a true designated kind of classroom workshop for stagecraft. So are the students excited about that opportunity as well?
My scenic kid almost broke down in tears when she learned she would have a shop where we can actually hook up the bigger saws that we can't really maintain because of our area right now. So the just additional saws and paint gun equipment that we're going to be able to get, because we'll have an area to run it and hold it. There's so many things that they're going to be able to build. They can even start adding on furniture building and advanced carpentry to the program. So that's exciting. And the most exciting, especially from our costume crew, was the idea of a washer and dryer. Because people forget about these small things like washers and dryers and seats. So that's going to be super nice too.
Yeah, well, that's great. So now we've been in the middle of this pandemic and having to do remote learning, but you're still going to have a performance coming up in November. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the upcoming performance?
Gotcha. This one's been fun. We've been actually rehearsing since about August the 3rd, and my students have worked all through the spring. They had their camp in the summer, and we've had crews. All of their crews meet at least 3 times a week. So it was really fun. When we were picking our first performance, we were like, well, we need something that's public domain. So if we need to live stream or broadcast it, we can do that. And then we need something that's small because small numbers, and we need something that's a little bit different from our 90s contemporary play we did last year, She Kills. So the importance of being earnest was what popped up. Classic piece, often taught to English classes, and it has just enough roles to where we get really creative, but we aren't panicking because we aren't having the constant hands-on attention. So we have the importance of being earnest coming up. It's basically the original one that Oscar Wilde wrote. We have students who are all learning Liverpool accents. They're acting in it. We have mostly Liverpool, one Russian accent, and one Irish accent student for the maid and butler. So we have that coming. Their costumes are going to be purely, sorry, my brain died. They're going to be clearly made from the original designs of the 1800s. My students at home have been learning. We made little sewing kits. So they've been at home learning to sew and work with the material and pattern making for it. So it's going to be the importance of being earnest. The only difference is the camera is added. So because it's a comedy of manners and we have to, make fun of manners in society, what better way than to acknowledge the cameras being there and running this as if, not trying to avoid the COVID situation with the mask, but let's roll with it and make it go extreme. So the actors are definitely going to be playing up the how things are situation. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then as we go forward in the year, we have Beauty and the Beast and Annie Jr., so more coming that way.
That's exciting. So it sounds like despite having the remote learning, you've been able to provide opportunities for our students to one, still be engaged and be active, but also still work on their creativity of getting ready to do the performance.
I always said, I looked down back in back in July. I said, if you want to do this, it's going to be hard, but we can do this. And they all agreed we need to move forward with the shows. So come what may, their dedication, it's what's made this show possible. We couldn't do it without the leadership and the students that we have. And then it's amazing at how much work they're going to put into it, even in the uncertainty. They're truly incredible kids.
Well, I agree, and thank you. So again, I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do, and the students are, I know, really excited about the performance. I know that we received a letter of gratitude, which was very nice from the executive president of the club. So I wanted to mention that because it was another example of our students, that are just very genuine, and the gratitude that they show for people doing things, and it's really them that are doing it. It's not us as adults; they're the ones that are actually doing it. So we appreciate that. But again, thank you for going above the bar and spending some time with us, and we look forward to that November production of, what is it again?
The Importance of Being Earnest.
Thank you.